Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylina and I am the Hex Witch, and today I've got a book review for you. So let's get started. So the book that I'm reviewing for you today is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is what the cover looks like. And right off the bat, I'm going to tell you I rated this 4.7 stars because I really enjoyed this book. And at first, I've seen other reviews on it as well, but at first I wasn't sure because the plot involves this young lady, Noemi, who gets this letter, this very frantic, scattered letter from her cousin, Catalina, at this mansion because she'd gotten married, and so now she lives in this mansion, and her cousin's acting very confused, just this very random, uncomfortable, like crazed letter almost. So Noemi's father and her are obviously concerned for Catalina, and so Noemi decides that she's going to go up there and visit and just make sure everything's okay. And so she goes up to this huge kind of Gothic mansion and spends some time with this family, and there's secrets to this mansion and this house, and as she goes along she just more and more things unearth, and I quite literally mean unearth because this book has a lot of earthy content in it, and Silvia does it so incredibly well. But anyway, so that's kind of the synopsis of it, but I was a little bit worried at first when I was reading it because I was like, I mean, it's not like this is a huge book. It's about 333 pages, so I mean, it's not a big book, but I was like, is she going to be able to keep the intrigue of the house and everything that's going on throughout the entire book? Because I mean, that is pretty much what goes on, is Noemi trying to figure out this house's secret, and she did. She did it really well. Like, I was intrigued throughout the whole book, and she's great at descriptions, like how setting the tone and the mood of a place, and she does it very well, and it's very creepy. Like, since, like I said, it has a lot of like plants and earth and like dirt and even kind of not really disease, but what happens to almost decay in a way, like what happens to a body as it like starts the dying process, but at the same time the body's not really dead yet, and it's creepy, like it really is. And she does not shy away from kind of disgusting details, and I almost use disgusting in a good way because she just describes it so well that it really does just send a shiver down your back. And this family be messed up. This family is very messed up, and yeah, you never truly know what's like really going on behind the scenes until like the end, where it's finally kind of revealed. So I was just like, oh, it's kind of a dark, messed up book. I was very pleasantly surprised because I was not expecting it to be that dark, but it is, and I really enjoyed it. But if you get like easily grossed out, beware. You're gonna probably have some moments where you feel like gagging because there's just, it deals with a lot of like fungus and like the mushrooms and like, which, you know, I find interesting already because I feel like there's so much that we don't even know about like plants and fungi and mushrooms in particular, like what they can actually do. And, you know, mushrooms can be pretty intense, and so it kind of deals with that. And I don't want to give too much away because like you learn through as you go along kind of what's going on, but the big reveal is obviously at the end. But I never really thought of like plants and stuff to have such a kind of dark undertone. Like I wasn't really, I don't really associate plants with having this whole mysterious darker side. I mean, yes, some of the plants do, you know, there's lots of plants out there like fungi and, you know, the poisonous plants like belladonna and stuff like that. And they do kind of have, but to put it in like a whole book, I wouldn't realize that you could do that so well. And she did it phenomenally. Like she really did do a good job, and I highly recommend this book. Moving past plants, I liked the characters as well. Our main protagonist, she's very feisty. She knows what she wants. Like she does not back down from anything, which I really appreciate. I love a strong female protagonist that doesn't back down and who has sass to her. And Noemi definitely does. So I really enjoyed reading about her. And there's just some messed up characters in here. Like she meets Catalina's husband, Virgil, and there's also parts of this book that make you kind of question, is it really the house doing this stuff? Or is Noemi almost in some ways like losing her mind as well? Because some of the stuff that goes on is just kind of messed up. Like you would be like, why is she doing this? Like, why would she be okay with this? And you never like 100% feel confident that she's not on board with some of this stuff. In particular to one character, there's some stuff that happens between the two of them and you're just like, Noemi, what are you doing, girl? Like, why? And I mean, at least to me, it's never like super clear whether or not she's approving of some of these actions or not. I mean, the main point of the book, the main thing that the house and this family is, she obviously definitely disapproves of because it's out there and crazy and messed up. It's very messed up, but yes, it's very well done, and I really enjoyed it, and I like the characters. I like our protagonist. I mean, it keeps you engaged throughout the whole story, which is great because that was my main concern. But I mean, I've heard awesome reviews about this book in general, so yeah, I would give it a 4.7, and I think it was incredibly well done. So I will definitely, I know she's got some other books out there as well, so I will probably give those a go as well. The only thing that for me, and this is 100% like a personal thing, but Noemi smokes, and so she does talk quite a bit throughout the book how she's lighting her cigarette or whatever, and I personally really don't like smoking, so I'm sorry if like Sylvia or anybody watching this is a smoker. Like I have nothing against you, my husband's dad passed away from lung cancer from smoking for years and years and years, so it's a little bit more like personal, I guess, for me. So that's the reason, and I like have super sensitive smell, like very sensitive smell, and that smell for some reason just like makes me sick for some reason. So that's the reason behind it, not because, you know, I'm like trying to hate on people that smoke. That's you can do whatever you want. Like that's the reason behind it. So it's personally like kind of cringy for me when, you know, I read about people smoking in books, just because I don't know. I know the medical implications behind it, and have watched my husband and my mother-in-law go through the loss of, you know, him, and so it's still been hard, and it's been 8 years since that has happened. So that is why I don't like smoking. So I would not want to be hanging around this character in real life because I would be sick. But besides that, but I mean, this is set in like an older daytime as well. So it would not have been uncommon for people to smoke. I mean, people used to do that all the time. But I guess if it wasn't set in like a old-fashioned time, I would maybe not like to see that being encouraged in books. I mean, there is also kind of another little reason why she had it in there, which actually had to do with the house itself. So that part made a little bit more sense as well, but that's just a personal critique, and that's just because I have background with having something tragic happen due to somebody smoking their whole life. So, but that's obviously, that's a side note, and that would not be a reason enough not to read this book, because it is very well written. The characters are great. The creepiness is 100% there. Like, it's really good and really messed up. So it's right up my alley as far as creepy books go. This was actually a better creepy book than some of the other like true creepy books that I've read. Like this, I feel, is very like kind of gothic, which always has that chilling undertone. But if some of the stuff in this book was happening to me, I'd be absolutely terrified. So I feel like it's definitely under the horror category as well. And so Sylvia, you did an amazing job with this book, and I highly look forward to digging into some more of your books, because if they're as good as this one, I'm sure to enjoy them. Last thing I wanted to also kind of review is Ted Lasso. So I just watched the last episode of Ted Lasso a couple days ago, and oh my gosh, I'm so sad it's over. I really am. I'm legitimately just so sad that it's over. That show did not have enough seasons. I actually like cried several times during that show, and it's not like I'm a stone brick wall or anything. I obviously have emotion, but just, they tied it up so beautifully. And a lot of the times I feel like in finales they do a terrible job, but oh my gosh, Ted Lasso was so perfect. It could not have closed it any better, in my opinion. And I love Jason Sudeikis. I think he's amazing and awesome. And I think he's probably just a really down-to-earth person in real life as well, but Ted Lasso, it's gonna be a hole. It's gonna be a hole on Wednesdays now. Like, I so looked forward to watching that show every Wednesday. Like, it's just so heartwarming, and it just makes you believe in humanity again. And I feel like in this kind of dark time where everyone's kind of a little bit more irritable, a little bit more quick to anger, a little bit more just unsettled, that kind of show just lifts you up. Like, it really did just make my heart happy. And there are very few shows that like can legitimately do that, like really invoke that emotion, but Ted Lasso did it. And I honestly, starting out, was not expecting to like that show as much as I did. I was like, okay, you know, I don't mind sports shows, that's fine, but it was so much more than a sports show. Like, in fact, the football is a very small part of the show, and so if you haven't watched Ted Lasso, you've got to watch that show, because it is so good, and you will be sad at the end of it as well. So yeah, just had to share that because, you know, I of course love reading, but I also love the movie industry and TV shows and that whole side of things as well. And so, I mean, if I felt like I was ever like good enough, at one point I thought I might want to go into that as like a career, as like script writing and stuff. So I very much have a passion for the TV movie production world as well. But love it. Love Ted Lasso. Love this book as well, Mexican Gothic. Love that as well. Two things I highly recommend. I'm gonna actually keep this video pretty short because I've noticed on my watchings that people are making it through about 14 minutes of mine. So we are gonna end it there. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. As always, stay happy, stay healthy. If you enjoy my content, please give it just a like, consider subscribing, ring that notification bell, and I will see you next time for another video. Bye.